Hello Professor, this is David Pratt. I'm making my update video here for milestone 4 for CST236. We're making a cart object. So I'm just going to show you here. We've got the login. If you try to go to my cart, it's disabled on this. So if you're not logged in, you didn't have to trust me. If you're not logged in, it's not going to work for you. I don't know why it's disabled on there, but we'll go to admin and password admin. Logs us in, and you can see we see this screen. We've got the my cart here. There's nothing there right now, but if we go home and we add an orange to the cart, see product number 2 is added in the cart. We've got an orange there. We've got the quantity here, which we can actually change and hit update, and we can see the total changes and the total down here changes. Update it to 3, and actually let's go back down to 1. And then over here, we'll go back home and we'll add another orange just for fun. And you can see back in the cart that there's actually a quantity of 2 in there now. Go back home and we'll just add a pineapple really quick. Add to cart, price is 17, number 9 is added. Boom. So we got a total of 21.68. If we click order, we're taken to this page. I used placeholders so that I wouldn't forget all the numbers and such that I needed to add it in here. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 24, 2, 3. Boom. And your order successfully. So now your cart is empty. So we can take a look at MAMP here, and we'll go to the cart object. And I'm just showing you all this so that I can get the front end stuff out of the way, and then we'll show you all the back end support. So if I add an orange to the cart, we can go into MAMP here and see that in the cart now we have ID is number 3, the product is number 2, there's 1 in there, it was added today at 22:47, and my user is 21, which is, if I click on that, test M Testicus, first name, username admin, password admin. Email admin for the store. So got all that going on there. How do we do it? Let's go take a look at the code here. We'll start off by showing the cart object. This is what I accessed by clicking on the nav bar. It went straight to here. We've just got a simple call to the business.findAll here, and that will bring up all of the stuff in your cart, and it will include show cart. If it doesn't, it's supposed to show this. Something about this if-else statement isn't working. In the show cart here, we've got call to we're creating a new product business, and then if there's an order for, like, the order failed or whatever, we're showing this little div right there. It's and then setting a local variable total while we're fetching an associated array, and then grabbing the product based on that product ID. And fetching an associative array for that specific product. And I know I did this in just a regular call instead of within a while loop, because I know there's only going to be one returned by this call to the business.findByID, and we'll get down there to that. Actually, I'm not going to show you that, but it's in the product business, and it just select star in products where ID is equal to ID, and ID is unique. So got some CSS styling going on here, and then just a simple, well, not exactly simple. It's actually a card, a bootstrap card that I made turn sideways. So let's add, I don't know if there's anything in there, so we're just making sure. And then you can see it's actually a card, so it's got the same, image and all this, and it'll tell you when it's added on all that stuff. So if you take that and put it on its head with the picture at the top, you're basically getting the same thing that's right here, description, that kind of thing, but it's just in the cart, and gives you these different buttons. It's sort of like a table, but without the header, and I wanted to do something different just to challenge myself and see what I could do. Oh, and I didn't show you, if you click that X button, it actually deletes it out of the cart. I wanted to get on that, and it actually takes it out of the table too. So if we go back to the cart, there's nothing in the table, and just so you're aware, my video recorder only lets me record for 15 minutes, so I may have to do a part 2. But so here is actually all the stuff to make that card possible. I'll let you look that over at your leisure and not bore you with it. So, and then down here is that little total and the button to submit it and all that good stuff. And clicking on the update handler here, we've got, let's see, here's the delete item handler is in this form right here, and the update quantity is right there. So we'll talk about we'll talk about add to cart first, and then we'll go on to update quantity. All of these handlers are really simple, with delete being the simplest, but add to cart, we're just grabbing a few things from that. These are hidden in the index page. They're hidden on that button. So when I click that button, there's a session username is just what I'm saving the username or the user ID into. I named it username because initially I put the username in there, but then I changed it to the ID and didn't want to go through and change everything, so I just left it as username. Eventually that can be changed to say user ID. That one right there is input type hidden on the add to cart button, and so it's going to submit that when you hit the submit button. And the date added is just grabbing the current date. Taking all of these, we're adding it to we're creating a new item. So with the ID, we're setting 1 as the quantity. I didn't have a way necessarily to change the quantity when you hit add to cart, so I just left it as 1 initially, and then date added and user ID to create a cart item, which is this right here. So we just got ID, quantity, date added, user ID. Super simple. So then we've got we're taking that cart and we're taking that item and we're adding it into the cart using that. If it works, we're returning that, and that will display at the top of the screen. Otherwise, we're doing that, and that will display at the top of the screen. And then we're just setting the header, so we return back to the index. For the delete item handler, again, like I said, super simple. We're grabbing a few things, the user ID, which is saved in a post variable. I don't know why I did it that way. I could have done it as a session variable, but no matter, it works. And then the product ID, again, I hit input hidden right there. And then we're creating a new business variable and calling delete from the cart, user ID, product ID. And last handler, we've got the update quantity handler. Again, like I said, super simple. User ID, product, quantity, all from the hidden input type hidden form there. And then we're updating the quantity on that and just returning it straight to the cart. This one I didn't do any checks on, just because I knew update quantity was going to work for 1. For 2, if it even if it doesn't, I just wanted to return it back to the cart. I didn't need to display anything. I didn't need to tell them anything. There would be a problem, and I'd be able to see that straight away and then take a look at it. I'm really, all those displaying of like the divs and everything that I've got, or the that paragraph right here that I've got just to display this, is really for my benefit. Obviously, this isn't going out. If it was a professional application, I would do it a little bit differently and handle errors a little bit differently. But this is mostly for me, so that when it doesn't work, I can see, oh shoot, that didn't work. I need to do something different. So it's really error handling, but it's a, I don't know, fancy way of doing error handling. So now we're going to get into the business. Again, as always, business is super simple. I'm not sure I really like the form of having a business in there. I know it's part of the end layer architecture that I'm running, but it to me seems a little bit more, a little bit of an extra layer of abstraction that I'm not sure I actually need, because it just literally creates an instance of the data and then calls something in the data, and there's nothing else that happens here. And I know you can add complexity and more security by running it through business. I understand that, and eventually I think we'll end up putting that in there, or I'll end up putting that in there to add some extra security to it. And that, in that case, business makes sense. But right now, business is just basically an empty class that I'm using as an extra layer of abstraction. Okay, so now we're going to get into the hefty stuff here. We're going to talk about the data. So this is the add to cart. Really, all that's going to change in all of these is going to be the query, the shell query variable here, and that's all that really is going to change. They're sort of just copy and pasted of all different things. This one's a little bit different, but yeah. So the query here, select star from store.cart where product ID is product ID, and that's selecting it. And then if there's an error in selecting it, we're showing that. We're just killing it right there and displaying that. But otherwise, if there's a number of rows returned, we're fetching an associated array and then increasing the quantity on that by using something else right here, which I'll get into in just a sec. But we'll increase the quantity if that's already in the cart, we increase the quantity. Otherwise, we're inserting it into the cart using the ID, the quantity, the add date, and the user ID, and we're inserting all of that. And then if that doesn't work, we're displaying something. So that was my way of increasing the quantity, was by selecting for it first, and then if that didn't work, adding it. And if it did work, increasing it. So we'll get on to the increase quantity here. This is actually is an update the cart, where we set the product quantity equal to product quantity plus 1, and we're checking the user ID and the product ID. The nice thing about this is you're using one table for every user on your thing, so even if I had 2 users logged in, they should both be able to simultaneously add items to the cart, because cart is actually using user ID as a pseudo primary key. It's actually just indexed in there, but I used it more like a primary key than even the cart's ID itself. Just because I wanted to make it so that two different users could use the same database table. And the product ID is a foreign key over to the products table, which you saw at the very beginning there. So then update quantity, we're taking in a user ID, a product ID, and a quantity. And we're setting, again, update the cart, we're setting the quantity to new quantity. That one I used for... I had that for that's the update handler we'll call update quantity. And it returns the result. Weird. And then find all, this is what we're using for the show cart, underscore show cart form here, so that you can see here, well actually it's in cart, that's what calls it. So we've got find all by user ID. Find all, just select star from previous cart, where user ID is equal to user ID. Like I said, that makes it really nice because you're only selecting by the user ID and you're not selecting everything. So whoever logged in is going to see what's in there. And every user doesn't have to have their own cart database. Makes it easier and nicer to handle your database memory. Deleting from the cart, delete from where user ID and product ID. And then this one, order, we're creating a local variable here, show worked. Result is going to be find all based on that user ID. If there isn't anything in the cart, we're returning false. So it's not going to work. You can't order nothing. And then if it did work, we're selecting everything and we're deleting everything from the cart. Right here I have a to-do comment, which is just going to be, instead of deleting everything, we're actually going to insert the code here to move it from the cart to an orders and orders details tables. And then if there isn't any data, and it's going to return false. So if this right here doesn't work, we're going to return false, and then break out of that while loop and return worked. Super simple. And then it all ends up here at the credit card page where you're inserting that credit card. Like I said, I used placeholders for all the data. Eventually I would love that to be a handler and a data and everything, so we can actually select and store and have users put in their credit card information and store that in a database and that kind of thing. It would take a little more work, but it would be nice to have it look that way, be more professional. More like a professional application than this is. This is just hard-coded. And then we're going in the order handler. This has the biggest if statement I've ever used. All of those are situations, are variables that we're testing, and it's just, like I said, hard-coded in there just to make sure that it all works, and we're just... Ordered is that boolean that you just saw, which is called worked over in that data, and then it orders it by the username. If it works, it sets that and returns it to index. Otherwise, it returns it to index all the same. If it fails, it returns it into the cart. So if this isn't right, you're going back to your cart and you're going to have to redo your credit card information. So that is my presentation. That's all that I got for now. We'll keep updating this thing and hopefully get it looking better. Thanks.